some actors simply fall out of favor in the industry, and for many, you only get one shot at the big time. But these big-name actors might be down, but they're not counting themselves out just yet. I'm Will for What Culture, and here are 10 actors planning to make huge comebacks. 10. Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan became a breakout teen idol following the release of 2004's Mean Girls, though her transition into adult roles in the years that followed proved doubly troublesome, due to both some ill-fitting projects and a very public battle with substance abuse. Since her failed attempt to mount a comeback as a serious dramatic actress in Paul Schrader's 2013 drama The Canyons, Lohan's appeared in just one other movie, Among the Shadows, in the last 8 years. But Lohan spoke recently of hoping to make a feature film comeback, which was confirmed with the recent news that she will star in an upcoming, untitled Netflix Christmas rom-com. Though far from a hard-hitting acting showcase for Lohan by the sounds of it, it seems like the sort of frothy, easily digestible holiday-themed genre film which could help endear Lohan to audiences once again. And because it's on Netflix, she'll be on hundreds of millions of screens across the world in an instant, so she won't have to worry about the box office. 9. Rick Moranis. Rick Moranis remains much loved for his unforgettable appearances in a spate of classic 80s comedies like Ghostbusters, Little Shop of Horrors, Spaceballs, and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. But Moranis decided to step away from acting in 1997, several years after the untimely passing of his wife, feeling that he wasn't able to juggle raising his 2 children with a movie career. Beyond recording the occasional voiceover parts, Moranis has been out of Hollywood for almost 25 years, though it was announced earlier last year that he's finally set to make his live-action return for a soft reboot of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. The film, called Shrunk, will see Moranis reprise his role of scientist Wayne Szalinski, opposite Josh Gad, who will play his son Nick. Though originally announced as a Disney Plus project, the film now appears to be targeting a theatrical release, with the series' original director Joe Johnston also signed on to return. 8. Channing Tatum. A decade ago, Channing Tatum was everywhere, and with his inspired casting in films like 21 Jump Street, Magic Mike, and Foxcatcher, he also managed to win over initially hesitant critics. And yet, Tatum's presence in Hollywood has been oddly scarce over the last 5 years, his only live-action roles being Logan Lucky and Kingsman: The Golden Circle, both back in 2017. Tatum ultimately decided to dial back his schedule in order to focus on being a parent, though he currently has a number of promising projects due to hit screens soon. Firstly, he's starring and co-directing the dramedy Dog, playing an army ranger who embarks on a road trip with his canine to attend their best friend and handler's funeral respectively. If the material works, it has major crowd-pleaser potential. Far more of a sure thing, however, is The Lost City of D, a romantic action comedy starring Tatum and Sandra Bullock as a model and novelist respectively, who end up running for their lives in a jungle after a kidnapping attempt. Needless to say, these projects should remind audiences of Tatum's dramatic and comedic chops respectively. Hopefully it will be enough to catapult him back to the top. 7. Carrie Ann Moss. Carrie Ann Moss will always be best remembered for the role of Trinity in the Matrix trilogy, and her post-Matrix career has been relatively low-key for the most part, taking supporting roles in mid-budget genre films and guest spots on TV shows. Moss's last movie role was a thankless part in the atrocious 2017 horror film The Bye-Bye Man. But things are most certainly looking up for the actress, who is set to reprise the Trinity role in The Matrix 4 later this year. It remains to be seen how the deceased Trinity will be brought back to life for the hugely anticipated sci-fi sequel, but seeing Moss back in the saddle alongside Keanu Reeves will ensure it's her biggest movie role since The Matrix. Above all else, hopefully it'll remind audiences of her powerhouse acting talents and sure ability to command the screen in a mega-budget blockbuster. We need more Carrie Ann Moss on the big screen. 6. Brendan Fraser. It might seem like ancient history nowadays, but Brendan Fraser was a box office bomb in the late 90s and early noughties, thanks largely to his role in the hugely popular Mummy franchise. But about a decade ago, Fraser's critical and commercial esteem began to fall off, with his last major starring movie role being 2010's widely panned quote-unquote comedy, Furry Vengeance. Fraser has spoken extensively about the circumstances which led to his career decline, namely his depression over his mother's death, his divorce, health issues caused by his stunt work in movies, and particularly his alleged sexual assaults by HFPA president Philip Burke, which he believes led to him being blacklisted by many producers. Fraser's largely taken supporting roles in indie movies since, though his TV work on both Trust and Doom Patrol has earned him considerable acclaim, with many critics suggesting that a renaissance might be on the horizon. And wouldn't you know it, Fraser is confirmed to be starring in 2 huge movies very soon. He's signed on to David Soderbergh's crime thriller No Sudden Move, and even more promisingly, he'll star in Darren Aronofsky's new drama The Whale. Given Fraser's popularity in decades past and everything he's been through, this feels like the right time for the actor to have his Matthew McConaughey moment. 5. Mike Myers. Mike Myers' reputation as a comedian speaks for itself. The Wayne's World, Austin Powers, and Shrek franchises made him obscenely popular and wealthy as a Hollywood megastar. However, Myers' career began to falter with the release of 2008's The Love Guru, which won Razzie Awards for Worst Picture, Worst Actor, and Worst Screenplay, while also tanking at the box office. Beyond a brief but brilliant cameo in Inglourious Bastards the year after, Myers entered semi-retirement from live-action acting for almost a decade. But things look set to change next year, with Myers set to appear as part of the ensemble cast in David O. Russell's new period comedy Canterbury Glass. Given that 3 of the director's last 4 films have been major awards darlings, at the very least Myers may end up with a Screen Actors Guild nomination for Best Ensemble Cast. Better still, Myers is also currently working on a new comedy series for Netflix, which will see him playing a host of different characters. 4. Edward Norton. With 3 Oscar nominations and a slew of stunning performances to his name, Edward Norton is one of the world's finest actors, so it's been frustrating to see him act so infrequently over the last 7 years. Since receiving his last Oscar nomination for Birdman back in 2014, Norton has starred in just 2 live-action movies, Collateral Beauty and his self-directed passion project, Motherless Brooklyn. And if we want to be technical about it, he also had a brief cameo at the end of Alita Battle Angel. But Norton is primed to come back in a major way over the coming year, with an already filmed appearance in Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch, and most tantalizingly, a role in Rian Johnson's Knives Out sequel, which will start shooting imminently. Considering how well Johnson served the entire ensemble in the first film, and Norton's general pickiness with his acting roles, this could very well be the part that endears him to mainstream audiences again, especially with Netflix buying distribution rights to the film. 3. Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer Hudson won a Best Supporting Actress Oscar in 2007 for her sublime performance in Dreamgirls, all the more impressive given that it was her first ever acting role. While Hudson's singing career evidently comes first, she had appeared in more than a dozen films since Dreamgirls, though in recent years, her output appears to have slowed down. In the last 5 years, Hudson's only live-action roles have been Netflix films like Sandy Wexler and Monster, and the big screen bust that was Cats. Though Hudson was actually okay in Cats, the terribleness of the overall film persists, though Hudson will seek to leave it behind with her upcoming lead role in the Aretha Franklin biopic Respect. From the little we've seen so far, Hudson looks note perfect as the legendary singer, and is a strong potential nominee for next year's Best Actress Oscar if the script and direction can support her talents. 2. Kevin Spacey. With 2 Oscars to his name and a career's worth of unforgettable performances on screens big and small, Kevin Spacey is an undeniable titan of his acting generation. However, in 2017, his career was forever tarnished when credible sexual harassment allegations were leveled against him. Spacey's career hit an obvious brick wall immediately. He was pulled from House of Cards' final season, Ridley Scott replaced him during post-production of All the Money in the World, and his remaining 2018 release, Billionaire Boys Club, was quietly released to little interest. Beyond posting his unsettling annual Christmas Eve YouTube videos, Spacey's kept an incredibly low profile since his career flamed out, though it was just recently announced that the actor is currently filming his first post-scandal acting role. Spacey will appear in the Italian crime drama The Man Who Drew God, as directed by Italian cinema legend Franco Nero. However, despite all of this, it seems incredibly unlikely that Hollywood will ever welcome Spacey back, and he'll probably spend the rest of his career appearing in international productions which will scarcely see theatrical distribution worldwide. 1. Paul Dano. Paul Dano is one hell of an actor, plain and simple, so it's a shame we've seen so little from him as of late. Cinematically, Dano has appeared in just 2 films in the last 5 years, Swiss Army Man and Okja, although he has supplemented that with a few good TV show appearances. Even so, fans clamoring to see him in a beefy movie role have been out of luck for 4 whole years, though that is thankfully set to change with the smorgasbord of hugely promising parts on the horizon. First and foremost, Dana will play the Riddler in Matt Reeves' The Batman, from which the first few clips we've seen suggest a radically different and frankly terrifying iteration of the iconic supervillain. Elsewhere, he's starring opposite Jake Gyllenhaal in a remake of the Danish thriller The Guilty, is set to play a fictionalized version of Steven Spielberg's father in the director's film The Fabelmans, and will appear in the upcoming drama Spaceman alongside Carey Mulligan and Adam Sandler. Dano is honestly set to blow up all over again, and after a few years in the shadows, it really is well deserved. And there you have it, folks, 10 actors planning to make huge comebacks. Feel free to drop this video a like if you enjoyed it, and drop me a follow on Twitter at YouSlyDogU. I'm Will for What Culture, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.